So I have solved this little political dilemma for myself in a very simple way. On election day, I stay home. I don't vote.
I want to do this video because I find the psychology of voting very, very interesting. Who doesn't want you to vote? It's expected of you. Mainstream corporate media wants you to vote. Government authorities want you to vote. The Young Turks want you to vote. So many people want you to vote. Why do they want you to vote? Let's just listen to this real quick. We're going to go over a couple things that Bernie Sanders says, point out some hypocrisies, and really ask the question, why is it that we vote? What's so important about voting?
What does Bernie Sanders think about giving convicted felons the ability to vote? Now, this has been a big...
In fact, it's so important for these politicians like Bernie Sanders that you vote, that they want convicted felons. And I'm talking about rapists, murderers, and terrorists. He wants them to be able to vote so bad. Why is that? Why do these political puppets want you to vote?
Topic, especially in states like Florida, where the voters there overwhelmingly voted in favor of allowing convicted felons who were, not rapists and murderers to vote. But Bernie Sanders seems to take it a little further than that. So let's take a look at his answer.
You have said that you believe that people with felony records should be allowed to vote while in prison. Does this mean that you would support enfranchising people like the Boston Marathon bomber, a convicted terrorist and murderer? Do you think that those convicted of sexual assault should have the opportunity to vote for politicians who could have a direct impact on women's rights?
To answer your question, as it happens in my own state of Vermont, from the very first days of our state's history, what our Constitution says is that everybody can vote. That is true. So people...
You know, the Constitution says other things too. And there's a lot of things that it says directly that Bernie rails against.
People in jail can vote. Now, here is my view. If somebody commits a serious crime, sexual assault, murder, they're going to be punished. They may be in jail for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, their whole lives. That's what happens when you commit a serious crime. But I think the right to vote is inherent to our democracy. Yes, even for terrible people.
The right to vote is inherent in our democracy. First of all, Bernie, we have a representative constitutional republic, not a democracy. A democracy, as Benjamin Franklin said, is two wolves and a lamb deciding on what to have for dinner. It's the 51% exercising their will over the 49% against the will of the 49%. So he says that voting is inherent in our democracy. First of all, voting is a scam, and we're going to look at that in a second. But democracy is also a word that they like to use, and it's just a fiction. They're just making this up.
Because once you start chipping away and you say, well, that guy committed a terrible crime, not going to let him vote. Or that person did that, not going to let that person vote.
Why is Bernie so concerned about chipping away at your right to vote, but he's not concerned about chipping away at your gun rights? What does Bernie think about guns? What does he think about gun ownership?
Begin, Anderson, by understanding that Bernie Sanders has a D- voting record from the NRA. Let's also understand.
Big deal. I'd rather find out what his rating is from the GOA, from the Gun Owners of America. We already know that the NRA is sold out. We know that they instituted the NICS instant background check, which is nothing more than an infringement, which sets the NRA in direct opposition to the Second Amendment. I do have a video on that if you guys want to take a look at that.
That back in 1988, when I first ran for the United States Congress, way back then, I told the gun owners of the state of Vermont, and I told the people of the state of Vermont, a state which has virtually no gun control, that I supported a ban on assault weapons. And over the years, I have strongly supported instant background checks, doing away with this terrible gun show loophole, and I think we've got to move aggressively at the federal level.
That's just infringement, infringement, infringement. Taking rights away, taking rights away, taking rights away. But if you're a felon, if you're a murderer, if you're a rapist, if you're a terrorist, we want to make sure you got the right to vote. If you're an innocent person, but just so happen to have a weapon that somebody else used to commit a crime, we want to take that gun away from you. We want to remove your right to own that weapon, but you can actually commit heinous crimes, and we want you to retain your right to vote.
Dealing with the straw man purchases. I voted to ban a semi-automatic assault weapons. I voted to make sure that there's an instant background check. I voted to make sure that guns do not get into the hands of people who should not have them by doing away with the loophole that exists in the gun show legislation.
Bernie just said, I want to infringe. I want to infringe. I want to infringe. This guy put his left hand on a Bible one day and raised his right hand. And he said he swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, which includes the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But he's so concerned that you have the right to vote as a felon sitting in a federal prison. He wants you to have the right to vote. He wants you to be able to vote for a politician, but he doesn't have any problem taking your rights away as a gun owner who did absolutely nothing wrong. So he wants to punish the innocent by taking away guns that somebody else might have used in a crime, but he wants to reward the guilty with this blessing of the state to be able to participate in the political system by voting.
You're running down a slippery slope. So
Yeah, you're running down. He's right here. This is the Young Turks clip that they're still playing. You're running down a slippery slope by saying that you're going to take away the right to vote from a rapist, taking away the right to vote from a murderer, taking away the right to vote from a terrorist. You're running down a slippery slope because now, listen to what he says.
I believe that people who commit crimes, they pay the price. When they got out of jail, I believe they certainly should have the right to vote. But I do believe that even if they are in jail, they're paying their price to society, but that should not take away their inherent American right to participate in our democracy.
How about your American right to participate in the ability to be able to keep whatever firearm you want to keep and be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects, your property, your private, personal property, Bernie?
So two important parts to that.
And now the wisdom from the Young Turks.
One is he's 1,000% right about the slippery slope because it's a trick. They say, oh, a Boston Marathon. Oh, child rapist, right? Okay.
Oh, Parkland. Oh, Columbine. Let's take away weapons. Let's restrict access.
Then who does it actually apply to? Millions of people who are in prison for drugs. Okay. They use it as an excuse to take away the votes of all those people. And so the reality is all the rich and all the elite did drugs. They just didn't go to prison for it. Obama did drugs. Bush did drugs. Clinton did drugs.
Let's take it a little further. What about the rich and elite who have committed rape but never faced the consequences for it?
The rich and elite that do sexual assault and brag about it, grabbing women by the genitals and without their permission.
And also, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And all his buddies who hung out with him, including Donald Trump and Bill Clinton.
Now, what they're defending here, guys, is the, quote, right to vote. And they're making it this big deal about voting. And I agree with this Jeffrey Epstein. I agree with what they're talking about here in a general concept of, you know, these politicians are criminals too, and yet they have rights that these supposed felons. And keep in mind, we're just assuming that these people that are in jail, that they're all guilty because, some federal bureaucracy and some judge declared them to be guilty. We're just taking them at their word, which is not a good idea to do. But what they're defending here is they're defending this right to vote. Why is it so important for the Young Turks that you be able to vote? Why is it so important for Bernie Sanders for you to vote? It's important for every politician for you to get out there and vote. Your vote is your voice, right? And your voice has to be heard. The elites want you to vote. Like I said before, the corporate media wants you to vote. Everybody wants you to vote. Why do they want you to participate in this system, which is what voting is? They want you to participate because voting gives you the false sense and it provides you with the illusion that you actually have control over your life. You actually are somebody who has a say in what goes on in your life. Voting is supposed to be there so that you can secure your freedom, so that you can get the government off your back. But when does that happen?
2 reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years.
No matter how much you vote, no matter who you vote for, they continue to mound up the debt. They continue to fund the military-industrial complex. They continue to lead us into long, costly, and senseless and deadly wars. They continue to have the domestic terrorist organization like the IRS, terrorist organizations like the CIA, like the FBI, like the DEA, like TSA, continue to come in and bleed us of more revenue and take more of your rights away.
And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that?
Your vote doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the sense that it doesn't secure your liberty. It doesn't secure your freedom. It doesn't get the government off your back. It never has, and it never will. Voting, and put your vote in the ballot box, which is nothing more than the suggestion box of slaves. Which master do you want to rule not only you, but everybody else? It cements you in your slavery.
If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand...
Your vote does not secure your freedom. Your vote does not give you power. Your vote solidifies you and cements you in your slavery. If you guys enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. If you disagree with me, if you think that voting does secure your liberty, show me proof. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.
Who did not vote, who in fact did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with.
If you guys enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, and share it with everybody you know. Also, check out over 100 hard-hitting designs in the shirt store, and if you want to support more content, hit me up on Patreon or PayPal. All those links will be in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.